genocide case against Israel.
Yeah, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. And I mean, a couple of things I'll say about that. One is that Israel has always hated UNRWA because UNRWA represents a lifeline that prevents them from totally destroying civilian life in Gaza. If it weren't for UNRWA, because of the caged reality of Palestinians, the permanent refugee status of Palestinians in Palestine, Palestinians wouldn't have the healthcare and the education and the housing and the humanitarian assistance and other things that they need. And so that's a threat to Israel's ethno-nationalist plan for the occupied territories. And so they have for years worked to try to attack and discredit, and they've made false charges for years. Now, in this case, I don't know if any of these, there are thousands of UNRWA employees in Gaza because it's the main employer in Gaza. And it includes people who are teachers and doctors and engineers and janitors and drivers and all sorts of people among those thousands. So it's not impossible that some of them, when the escape happened from the cage, that some of them escaped as well in that. I saw today from the UN spokesperson that they actually fired these people. But the way they described it is like firing them and they're investigating. Well, it seems to me you would investigate and then fire them.
Right.
So I don't know if they got some confirmation, but what concerns me about this is that the accusations came from Shin Bet and other Israeli intelligence officials based upon interrogation of suspects that they were holding. In other words, people who were tortured said that these UNRWA people were also participating in October 7th. So it's possible, but I am not going to be convinced until I see an independent investigation into this question because of the source, because of previous false accusations. And even if some of them did, that's not an indictment of UNRWA. UNRWA is the largest employer in the occupied territories because Israel doesn't allow any other private trade and things to and a normal economy for Palestinians. So even if, you take any organization with thousands of employees, some of them are going to commit some crimes.
Right.
That's just the nature of the beast. That said, here's the worst part. The population of Gaza have been battered and brutalized and had a genocide perpetrated on them. They've had their homes and their entire infrastructure destroyed. They're starving. They're dying of disease. The survivors will rely upon a well-functioning UNRWA. That's going to be the difference between life and death today and for many, many days and weeks and months going forward. The United States of America chose at this moment to cut off funding to UNRWA, in spite of the fact that the Commissioner General fired all of these people just on the basis of allegations coming from the torture services of Israel. And that wasn't enough because the US wants to participate in causing the Palestinian people of Gaza to suffer so that it can satisfy its Israeli partners that it's being as vicious and malicious as they are inside of Gaza. I think that's an absolutely horrific statement about the moral depravity of our own government in its Middle East policy. Wait for the investigation, accept that some people have been fired, but why would you cut off funding to UNRWA? What is the motivation for that?